This is Billionaire Mondays. Every Monday we present you with another billionaire. Today we're looking at 15 things you didn't know about Michele Ferrero. Welcome to Alux.com, the place where future billionaires come to get inspired. Hello Aluxers, welcome to another exciting original video presented by Alux.com. Today we're revealing some interesting lesser-known facts about Italian entrepreneur and businessman Michele Ferrero. Was born April 26, 1925 in Piedmont, Italy. His father owned a small cafe and bakery called Ferrero Company, and he and his wife also worked to establish a manufacturing plant in Alba, Italy. When his father passed away in 1949, Michele took over as head of the company at the age of 24. In his time as head of the company, he personally invented and launched at least 20 products, including Nutella, tic-tacs, the Kinder Egg, and Ferrero Rocher hazelnut chocolates. Michele expanded Ferrero outside of Italy, and today his products are sold in 170 countries worldwide. Michele turned the company over to his sons in 1997 when he was 72 years old, and he passed away in 2015 at the age of 89. We want to learn some more about Michele because he was a wildly successful entrepreneur who took a small confectionery shop and turned it into one of the most successful companies in the world, while also making himself one of the richest people in the world. We are inspired by his ambition, innovative spirit, work ethic, and lifestyle. If you're new here, welcome. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on Instagram at Alux. So, it's time now to take a closer look at this influential businessman with the 15 things you didn't know about Michele Ferrero. Number 1. He took over the company after his father and uncle died in the same year. Michele's father, Pietro, and his mother, Piera, worked together to turn their pastry shop into a small manufacturing plant. Pietro's brother, Giovanni, was also an integral part of the company as he helped to establish an effective sales network for the growing company. When Pietro died unexpectedly at the age of 51, the business was handed over to Giovanni. But just a few months later, Giovanni died unexpectedly as well. This is when 24-year-old Michele stepped up and began building his candy empire. Number 2. He was the 22nd richest person in the world at the time of his death. In 2014, in the last Forbes ranking of the world's billionaires before he passed away, Michele was listed as the 22nd richest person in the world. At the time, he had $2 billion less than Mark Zuckerberg's $28.5 billion fortune. Of course, Mark is now worth $73 billion. In 2014, Bill Gates remained at the top of the list with $76 billion, although in 2018, he sits second place with $90 billion behind Jeff Bezos and his $112 billion fortune. Today, Michele's son, Giovanni, who inherited the bulk of his wealth, is the 37th richest person in the world with $23 billion. Number 3. He married his secretary. Ferrero was undoubtedly a workaholic, so the lines between his personal and professional lives were often blurred. This was also the case when it came to his romantic life as well. When he took his secretary Maria Franca Fisolo on their first date, he told her he was boring because all he ever talked about was chocolate. This apparently didn't deter her though, as they married in 1962. When Michele passed away, they'd been married for 53 years. Although he left the bulk of his fortune to their sons, she still has a net worth of over $2 billion. Number 4. Nutella was created due to the rationing of cocoa. During World War II, chocolate was in short supply because of the rationing of cocoa, so Michele's father devised a recipe for a treat that combined a very small amount of chocolate with ground hazelnuts. It was sold as a solid block in 1946, and this was the very first version of Nutella, although it wouldn't get that name until 1964. Pietro also created a creamier version in 1951, but it was Michele that took the product to the next level when he added more sugar and palm oil and started selling it in jars. The first jar of Michele's improvised version of Nutella left the factory in April 1964, and it became an instant hit. Now over 350,000 tons of Nutella are produced every year. Number 5. In 2008, he became the richest person in Italy. Michele Ferrero was listed among the top 10 richest Italians for decades, but never reached higher than second place until he passed former Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi to become the richest man in Italy. At the time, he had a net worth of $11 billion. He held on to the top position for the next 6 years until his death, when he had a net worth of $26 billion. And even now, his family members continue to be the richest people in Italy to this day. Number 6. Ferrero had to pay $3.05 million in a class action lawsuit. In 2011, a mom from California initiated a class action lawsuit against Ferrero because she claimed their advertisements led her to believe that Nutella was a healthy food to feed her 4-year-old daughter. The advertisement stated that Nutella was part of a healthy breakfast. A judge decided that this did indeed constitute false advertising and ordered Ferrero to pay a $3.05 million settlement. Anyone who bought a jar of Nutella between January 2008 and February 2012 was allowed to file a claim and were given $4 per jar, but only up to a maximum of $20 per household. They also had to change the labels on their jars to list the fat and sugar content on the front. Number 7. He sent his sons to live in Brussels for fear they would be kidnapped. From the late 60s to the early 80s, Italy was in a time of social and political turmoil. These times were called the Years of Lead. The turmoil was marked by violence, demonstrations, terrorist attacks, kidnappings, and assassinations carried out by both left and right-wing extremists. The children of wealthy families were being kidnapped for ransom, and Michele grew fearful for the safety of his own sons. He made the difficult decision to send them to live in Brussels for several years throughout the 70s, until the political unrest died down. Number 8. One of his sons died while on a cycling trip in South Africa. When Michele retired, his company was passed on to his sons, Giovanni and Pietro, who were named after his father and uncle. They shared the leadership of the company starting in 1997. But in April 2011, Pietro died suddenly when he had a massive heart attack while cycling in South Africa. The 47-year-old left behind his wife and 3 children, and his brother Giovanni, the sole CEO of Ferrero, and the only heir to his father's multi-billion-dollar fortunes. Number 9. He wrote some of his recipes in Arabic and locked them in a vault. Ferrero was always paranoid that his competitors would send in spies to steal his recipes, or that one of his workers would divulge his secrets to their rivals. Apparently, this is something that his rivals actually tried to do. To help safeguard against this possibility, he wrote some of his recipes down and had them translated into Arabic, destroyed the originals, and then locked them in a vault in Cairo. He then closed down his shop to outsiders and stopped allowing visitors altogether. Number 10. He commuted to work via a helicopter. Michele was notoriously private, so not much is known about the house where he lived in Monte Carlo in Monaco, one of the wealthiest and most extravagant locations on the planet. The one thing we do know is that he had a personal chocolate factory built into his estate. We also know that he regularly commuted to work in Alba, Italy via a helicopter. It would normally take well over 3 hours to drive the 150-mile commute, but only little more than 1 hour to arrive by helicopter. We talk all about luxury helicopters in our video, The Top 10 Most Expensive Helicopters. Click in the top right corner to check it out. Number 11. Ferrero had $12.3 billion in revenues in 2017. Ferrero continues to thrive under the direction of Giovanni. The company posted record sales in 2017 with $12.3 billion in revenue, a 1.5% increase from the year before. Overall sales increased 2.5%, with the biggest seller being Nutella, and the Ferrero Rocher hazelnut chocolates, which were created by Michele himself, continue to be the best-selling boxed candy in the world. Number 12. Ferrero purchased Nestles US confections business for $2.8 billion. In January 2018, Giovanni Ferrero made a huge and unprecedented move for the company by acquiring a large segment of one of their competitors. Nestle agreed to sell their entire U.S. confections business to the Italian candy manufacturer for $2.8 billion. This means that Ferrero will now own more than 20 Nestle brands, including Baby Ruth, Raisinets, Butterfinger, and 100 Grand. They also get 3 of Nestle's production plants in the U.S. Nestle will be focusing on their other segments, including coffee, baby food, pet food, and bottled water. Number 13. 60,000 people attended his funeral. Michele passed away at his Monte Carlo home in Monaco on February 14, 2015. He'd been battling illnesses for many months and lived to the age of 89. The funeral services were held in his hometown of Alba, a town that is being completely defined by the chocolate company. Typically, at least one person in each home works or has worked with Ferrero. About 10,000 people showed up to his 12-hour-long public casket viewing, and around 60,000 people attended the funeral proceedings, including the Italian Prime Minister. On the day of the funeral, flags were flown at half-mast and school was cancelled. Number 14. He never once gave an interview. Michele was a very secretive and private person, traits that caused him to constantly be compared with Willy Wonka. He refused to give even a single interview during his lifetime, although many people were curious to find out more about the man behind the famous chocolate manufacturing company. Michele said that a man should only have his name in the paper 2 times, once at birth and once at death. Number 15. Ferrero is the 3rd biggest confectionery company in the world. From its humble beginnings, Michele Ferrero, with his innovative spirit and hugely popular candy inventions, pushed Ferrero into the global confectionery market, making it one of the biggest competitors in the industry. Ferrero is currently the 3rd biggest confectionery company in the world, behind Mars and Mondelez International, which used to be Kraft Foods. Giovanni Ferrero promises to further cement his father's legacy by continuing to grow globally. And there you have it, Aluxers, some interesting lesser-known facts about Michele Ferrero. Now that you've learned some more about Michele, we'd like to know, do you think the company will operate differently now that Giovanni Ferrero is solely in charge with no input from his father or brother? Let us know what you think in the comments. Still here? Here's a bonus fact to thank you for sticking with us all the way to the end. Number 16. Ferrero uses 25% of the global supply of hazelnuts each year. One 750-gram jar of Nutella contains 97 hazelnuts, and more than 11 million jars of differing sizes are sold worldwide every year. So just do the math. Also, Ferrero makes 900 Ferrero Rocher hazelnut chocolates per minute, and in the peak season around Christmas, they produce them around the clock. That's a ton of hazelnuts. Actually, that's thousands of tons of hazelnuts. Ferrero uses roughly 25% of the global supply of hazelnuts every single year, with the majority of them coming from Turkey.
Thank you for spending some time with us, Aluxer. Make sure to subscribe so you never miss a video. If you want more, we handpicked these videos you might enjoy, or head over to Alux.com for the best in fine living content on the planet. Be a part of the largest community of luxury enthusiasts in the world and tell your story.